The Sports Source is brought to you by Fast Frame, with exciting Vol sports prints now available.
You are watching East Tennessee's first and only year-round sports talk show on television. This is The Sports Source with your host, John Pennington.
Good Sunday morning and welcome into the Sports Source. Happy to have you with us today. We'll be talking quite a bit about the Pat Summitt situation. Well, we'll talk about it right off the bat, I should say. And then we'll also check in a little bit later. I can assure you that the 6 News team, keeping track of everything involved with the Pat Summitt situation. If there's any news during the show, you'll get it right here. We also have a pair of fair former Vols. Mike Stoll and Kyler Kerbyson are with us today. So we'll talk football with them. It is a loaded show. Let's get right into it. First segment brought to you by Tennova Healthcare. Folks, prostate cancer is something that many, many men will have to deal with. 1 in 6, actually. Sometimes it strikes early, as it did when I was just 40 years old. If you have questions or face that fight, do what I did. Turn to Tennova Healthcare. I trust them implicitly. Tennova.com for more information. Tennova Healthcare. All right, I want to welcome in the panel. We have Josh Ward, of course, Mike Strange, of course, and of course, Chuck Cavaleris. Gentlemen, I want to start with the news of Pat Summitt. It has grown throughout the weekend in terms of social media. The Knoxville News Sentinel, Mike, your newspaper, reported today that a source has told the paper that it could be today, could be a week, could be a year, but family and friends were with Pat Summitt and around Pat Summitt yesterday, and that they are preparing to make a statement should things turn for the worst. But right now, not a good situation for Pat Summitt.
No, you know, she even though we know she's had this awful disease, in our mind's eye, she's still a tower of strength and power and all things strong. So it's tough to digest, John.
Chuck, you covered the Lady Vols years ago. Thoughts on the situation? You hate to see someone go through this.
Right.
You also sit there and hate to see someone suffer with this for years and years and years.
Right.
Well,
I know that everyone is just praying for whatever happens to happen in due time. You know, when we would check on Pat for a while, it's good days and bad days. Mm-hmm. And then it was more bad days, and then it was bad to worse. So on this, it's a situation, unfortunately, it's not really going to get any better. So you just pray that it works out in time.
And Josh, we're already seeing that this is quickly turning into a national story. It's not just a local story. Obviously, Tennessee fans love her more than anyone else out there, but you've got people like Robin Roberts and everyone else chiming in with tweets about praying for Pat Summitt and wishing her the best.
Yeah, it's really a reminder of the impact, I would say, of Pat Summitt, and not what she's meant in Knoxville, which has been great, right, or what she's meant to the University of Tennessee, but really what she's meant to women's basketball, the game of basketball, and really people around this country. She's inspired so many people. So I think today, when you see this news, you're quickly seeing a great reaction of people supporting not only her, but her family as well.
Okay. Guys, I tell you what, let's put up a little something about her legacy here, if we could. You just see some of the numbers that she had put together at Tennessee, just remarkable, incredible numbers. And everyone, of course, is familiar with her gift to not only Tennessee, but to women's college basketball. Just now, a statement is out from the PatSummitt.org website. And the statement, I'll just read it here. On behalf of Pat Summitt's family, we acknowledge the past few days have been difficult for Pat as her early onset dementia, Alzheimer's type, progresses. She is surrounded by those who mean the most to her, and during this time we ask for prayers for Pat and her family and friends, as well as your utmost respect and privacy. Thank you. That is from PatSummitt.org, a release regarding the family and friends surrounding Pat Summitt. Okay. I'll tell you what, later in the show, as I said, if anything happens during the show, 6 News will step right in and give you the latest. If there are lesser developments, we will check in with longtime News Sentinel beat writer for the Lady Vols, Dan Flesser, over the phone just very quickly to see what he is hearing. But we will get back to the Pat Summitt situation later in the show. Now, we're not going to be able to have much time to discuss a big topic, but back in the spring, I said a couple times, the word was out there that Jimmy Cheek was not going to be around past the summer, past the end of this year at least. He announced this week he will be stepping aside when a new chancellor is put in there. He's not going immediately. Question, though, becomes about Dave Hart. He's 67 years old, entering the 5th year of his 6th-year contract. The issue for him is, does he want to stick around and work under a new boss? I'm 45. I don't like working under new bosses. I can't imagine if I was at retirement age and had his bank account that I would want to. 2, if you're UT, do you wait and let the next chancellor decide what to do? Or does the Board of Trustees, which has got more power coming up, do they go ahead and make a decision on Dave Hart and give him an extension? Thoughts on what Tennessee should do here?
Well, I think if you've got a lame duck chancellor, that you don't need a lame duck athletic director. So I would anticipate, and I think it would be good for Tennessee for Dave Hart to stay in his chair at least until they have a new chancellor on board.
And the timeline to do that is what, June maybe? Is that what I've heard?
To hire someone
The spring athletics board meeting. I don't know why it takes that long.
I think most people would agree. Yeah, you should not do an extension because it is such a historically important time for the University of Tennessee in athletics. So and that is who you bring in could very well want to have their own athletic director.
And again, he's got time on this. He's going into 5 out of a 6-year deal. So it's not like he's gone tomorrow if you don't extend him. I kind of agree. I wouldn't extend him right now, but that's no knock on Dave Hart.
No.
I know, look, the All-SEC trophy, Josh, he's not killing it. But when you're hired as athletic director at Tennessee, you're hired to do 2 things. Make money, fix football. If you fix football, you make money. He's done both. So I agree with these guys. I wouldn't extend him, but it's not because of him. It's just the situation, like the next guy come in and make that kind of a decision. Your thoughts?
Yeah, and think about how much change the University of Tennessee has experienced over the last 8-10 years, even longer than that when you think about presidents, athletic directors, and then coaches in football. So football season is right around the corner. If Tennessee has a very successful football season as the expectation is going in, that will reflect very well on Dave Hart. That would be something that would help him. But with the change already coming at the chancellor's position, I would not want change right now with the athletic director's position. So if it's a good football season, you have the recent economic report, which reflects well at least on how things are going. I would try to carry that into some momentum through football season.
Good points, one and all. Appreciate it. When we come back, we're going to be joined by a pair of VFLs, a recent young pup in Kyler Curbison and an old dog in Mike Stoll. Coming back on the Sports Source.